What if I told you that McLaren is about to repeat the technical coup that changed Formula One? But this time with the direct objective of taking down Mercedes? Because we're not talking about a simple upgrade, we're talking about an aggressive, massive package designed specifically for Miami that could completely change the balance of forces in 2026. Mercedes has started the year dominating with authority, with an advantage that seems untouchable in pure pace. But McLaren has already shown before that it knows how to break that type of hierarchies when no one expects it. The big question is, can this new mega package really cut that advantage? Or are we facing the only team capable of putting Mercedes' dominance in check before it's too late? The start of the 2026 season has left a very clear feeling within the paddock. Mercedes is not only winning, it is controlling Formula One from the technical base. It is not a question of strategy, nor of other people's mistakes, nor even of race circumstances. It is a domain built from pure performance, from a car that combines aerodynamic efficiency with evident superiority in the management of the power unit, something that translates directly into advantage on the straight, better traction when exiting corners, and a constant ability to set the pace without having to force. And this completely changes the rules of the game for any rival, especially for McLaren. Because when a team dominates in this way, it is not enough to get slightly closer. It is not enough to cut 1 or 2 tenths. You need a real leap, a structural change in the car's performance that allows you not only to match, but to enter its window of competitiveness and break its comfort zone. And that is precisely the point McLaren is at right now. They have shown that they have speed. They have shown that they can be there at specific times. They have even been able to fight for podium positions when everything falls into place. But the reality is that its performance remains inconsistent, not because of a lack of potential, but because of a dangerous combination: irregular reliability and a car that still does not have the breadth of performance necessary to adapt to all conditions without losing competitiveness. And this is where the Real plan begins to take shape. McLaren is not preparing just any evolution for Miami. He is preparing a deliberate attempt to change his position in the hierarchy. They don't want to get close. They want to hit the table. They want to replicate that moment when a team stops being a pursuer and becomes a real threat. Because they've done it before. The precedent of Miami 2024 is not just a reference, it is practically the model they are trying to repeat. At that time, McLaren introduced an improvement package so profound that it not only increased the car's performance, but completely changed its behavior. It was not a sum of new parts, it was a redefinition of the balance of the car, allowing more effective, more stable, and above all, faster configurations to be found in a much wider range of conditions. That kind of leap is exactly what they need now, but with one key difference. The rival they face in 2026 is much stronger than any previous benchmark. For this reason, Miami is not just another race on the calendar. It is the point where McLaren is going to reveal if it really has the tools to challenge Mercedes, or if, on the contrary, its competitive ceiling is still one step below. Because if this package works, we will not be talking about a simple improvement. We will be talking about the beginning of a real battle for dominance of Formula One. Whenever you want, I recommend expanding this first block to go even deeper into the technical difference between Mercedes and McLaren before Miami, without repeating information and adding more value. This is where everything becomes much more interesting, because understanding what McLaren wants to do in Miami involves analyzing the extent to which they are willing to risk to break Mercedes' dominance. The plan is not simply to bring improvements, it is to replicate a philosophy that already worked for them, but taking it to an even more aggressive level. McLaren knows perfectly well that it cannot win this battle by playing on neutral ground, because Mercedes has the most complete package on the grid. Therefore, what they are preparing points to something much more ambitious. A profound redesign of the car's behavior that attacks several critical areas at the same time, seeking the cumulative effect that in 2024 gave them a brutal performance leap. And here is the technical key that many people overlook. It's not just about adding downforce. It's about how that charge is generated, how it remains stable in different conditions, and, above all, how it allows the car to enter a much wider operating window. In 2024, McLaren's success was not only because of the new parts, but because they made the car much more predictable, easier to tune, and capable of maintaining performance in different scenarios without becoming unstable. That's what really made the difference. Now, in 2026, they are trying the exact same thing, but with much greater pressure. Because the rival is no longer a group of relatively equal teams. The rival is Mercedes with a clear structural advantage. A car that is not only fast, but efficient, consistent, and virtually unflappable even when small weaknesses appear. That forces McLaren to go beyond what is logical. And here appears the true risk of the plan. When you introduce such a large package of improvements, you're not just looking for performance, you're betting everything that the correlations between simulator, wind tunnel, and real track are perfect. If you get it right, the jump can be enormous. But if you fail, you don't lose a few tenths. You can completely destabilize the car. Furthermore, there is one critical factor that can define everything: reliability. McLaren has already shown that it has the pace to be at the top, but it has also suffered mechanical problems that have affected its start to the season. And the more aggressive the development, the greater the likelihood of unexpected bugs appearing. That is to say, this package not only has to be fast, it has to work out of the box without compromising consistency. And this is where the plan becomes a total gamble. Because if this package manages to replicate that double gain effect, more performance and better behavior of the McLaren car can reduce the distance with Mercedes in a real, not theoretical way. It can start to fight equally on certain circuits. It can force Mercedes to react. It can change the dynamics of the championship. But if they don't get it, if the package doesn't deliver as expected or introduces new problems, then not only will they still be behind, but they will have missed one of the most important opportunities of the season to change course. Miami, in this context, is no longer a simple race. It becomes a technical turning point. A moment where McLaren is going to demonstrate if it really has the ability to execute one of the most important moves of the year, or if Mercedes' dominance is still out of reach. And this is where everything converges, because the Miami Grand Prix is not only going to show us if McLaren has improved, it is going to define if they can really change the course of the season. If the package works as expected, the impact will not be subtle. We are not talking about getting a few tenths closer and continuing to depend on Mercedes' mistakes. We are talking about entering directly into their performance zone, being able to compete equally in the classification, and most importantly, maintaining that pace in the race. Because that is where Mercedes has built its dominance. On consistency, on the ability to set fast laps without degradation, without errors, without cracks. If McLaren manages to break that barrier, the championship changes completely. First, because Mercedes would no longer have absolute control. They could no longer manage races from comfort. They would have to react, take risks in strategy, squeeze more out of the car. And when a dominant team enters that field, errors, internal tensions, and extreme decisions begin to appear. This is where the real battles for the title are born. Second, because McLaren would go from being a pursuer to becoming a reference in development. If this package works, they will not only close the gap, they will force the rest of the teams to change their plans, to accelerate their own evolutions, to rethink concepts. It is the type of movement that not only affects a race, but the entire technical direction of the championship. But there is also the other scenario, and it is just as important. If the package doesn't meet expectations, the hit won't just be in performance. It will be strategic, because they will have invested resources, time, and a key calendar opportunity in an attempt that will not have changed the hierarchy. And in a season where Mercedes already has an advantage, losing that moment could mean being permanently left out of the real fight. Furthermore, there is a detail that cannot be ignored. Mercedes is not going to sit still. Even if McLaren gets it right, the answer will come. Because dominant teams are not only fast, they are also the most efficient at reacting. So the real impact of the Miami package won't just be how much McLaren wins, but how long it can maintain that lead before Mercedes counterattacks. And therein lies the essence of all this. Miami is not the end of the story, it is the beginning of a possible technical war. A point where we can move from a controlled championship to a completely open one, or where it can be confirmed that for now Mercedes' dominance remains too solid to break. Because in the end, the big question is not whether McLaren is going to improve. The real question is if this is the exact moment in which Mercedes' dominance begins to fall, or if we are still far from seeing that change. And in the end, it all comes down to a single moment, a single weekend that can completely redefine the course of the season. McLaren does not arrive in Miami with a simple evolution, it arrives with a declaration of intent. A package designed not to get closer, but to directly challenge the basis of Mercedes' dominance. Because they have understood something key: to beat a team that does everything well, it is not enough to improve. You have to change the rules of the game. But Formula One does not forgive. This type of bet does not allow middle ground. Either you get it right and make a jump that puts you right in the fight for the championship, or you miss and you're stuck watching your rival continue building an advantage race after race. And therein lies the greatness and brutality of this sport. Because while McLaren prepares one of the most ambitious moves of the season, Mercedes has already shown that it does not need to take risks to win. They are in control. They set the pace, and that makes the challenge even greater. So Miami won't be just another race. It It will be the moment when we find out if McLaren really has what it takes to break the dominance, or if Mercedes is still one step ahead of the rest. And now I leave the question to you. Do you think this McLaren package will be enough to change Formula One? Or are we about to see Mercedes further consolidate its dominance? Let me know in the comments what you think about all this.